Hello! Today we're going to be making strawberry jam, like I promised. So I'm going to show you the ingredients that I use first, so you'll know what to buy, and you'll recognize these from our childhood. The first is I like to use sugarcane sugar, and I like C&H, and we can get C&H at Super Walmart. Otherwise, I use Domino's, and you want pure cane sugar, but not beet. And you want a finer grain. So if the sugar is a gradier grain, and it's a tough one, or an off-brand, you might have some problems with it dissolving. So I like to stick with what I know, and that's C&H. And if you're lucky, I'll sing the C&H ditty. The other is Certo. This is the brand I use for certopectin. And I know this is opposite, but I think you can figure out how to read it. No, it's still the same. And the recipe does call for real lemon, but I use the real lemon juice in the container. I hope this is working. And of course, if we're making strawberry jam, then we need the containers. And usually, I've got the strawberries cut up and mashed to show you what they look like. But usually this size equals about 2 jars, so I always have 2 in the house if I'm going to make jam, because somebody inevitably comes along and eats a strawberry. Now if I'm picking them up at the farm, of course it's easy for me to see the ripest of strawberries. But if I'm making jam, I really do want to make sure they're ripe. So you have to be careful, because if you wait too long with the strawberry, then they can go rotten on you. So really, as you're walking up to the strawberry section at the grocery store, you should be able to smell the scent. If you're not smelling the scent of the strawberry, then they're not ready. And Watsonville, California has been putting out some really good strawberries. So this to me is a perfect strawberry. It's nice, it's nice and red, almost overly ripened. And the other reason why I enjoy that is because then when I mash them, it's not so hard to mash. If they're not ripened, then they're very hard. So what you want to do is, of course, wash the strawberry, take the stem off. These are things I forgot, so we're going back and remaking this video. And then cut them up in little squares. So I have an example of the size that I tend to mash. Just kind of a, where's that camera? Where's the camera? About like that. You can see there. So I'm just going to throw those in. And I haven't measured this to make sure it's 2 cups, but they usually are. I've been making strawberry jam long enough to eyeball 2 cups of mashed. And I have already a batch of strawberry jam going with the sugar in it. So then you can see what it looks like as I'm melting the sugar, or to having it dissolve in the strawberries. So I've now mashed all of those, and you can kind of, well, let's see what I'm talking about. There's pieces, but they're mashed. Sometimes it's a 2-fisted mash that I have to do. So let me bring over the strawberries that have the sugar in it. And when you first put the jam in, it's kind of it's not a clear gel. The strawberries look, you think, oh my God, this really can't be turning into strawberry jam. But it does, and I'm going to lift this up so you can see it's starting to clear, but you can still kind of hear the grit, the sugar. Then that means it's not ready yet. And so we're just going to stir a little bit more and let it sit. Now the Certo recipe says 10 minutes. Well, I can tell you right now, if I put the jam, or if I put the sugar into the strawberries, the mashed strawberries, in 10 minutes, all I would have is just a mound of sugar. Nothing would have been melted. So I don't know if this recipe is from a long time ago, where the sugar was, or they've changed the coarseness of the sugar, but really a good 30 minutes is what you need to dissolve the sugar. And that's the key, really it is, because if it's not dissolved, then what you have is gritty paste on your hand. And you can also taste it too. I don't know if you can hear that. That means it's still not ready. So usually during this time, I stir things up well, and then I get the jars prepped to make the rest of the jam. So what I'll do is make 2 videos. So this is stage 1, the items that you need, cutting up the strawberries, getting them ready, and then putting the sugar in and then letting it sit. And then what I'll do is, because I don't think you just want to sit here and talk to me for 30 minutes, and you certainly don't want me to sing C&H song now, do you? Or maybe you do. So what I'm going to do is then make stage 2 of the video. So this is stage 1 of making strawberry jam with Tracie. Hello, we're back with part 2, and I did go ahead and jar up those jams. So we have 2 jars and almost the other one full, and that was with the container size, like I told you with this. So these will go into the freezer. I forgot to mention that on the previous video because it's called freezer jam. So you fill them up, clean them, we'll do it again, and they sit out for 24 hours. So tomorrow at this time, about 5 o'clock, I'll put them in the freezer and they'll be ready to go. And then you'll have fresh strawberry jam every time you want to open up a jar. So what we have going on here, like I said before, when you first put the sugar in, it's kind of a dull look, and you want to wait for the shiny, kind of a shiny clear look for the sugar to melt. And I've been tasting it, still hearing a few little grits. It does take about 30 minutes. I know the Certo recipe for quick and easy freezer jam and jelly says 10, but I think that was years ago when maybe the sugars were a finer grain, but now I really have found that they do take about 35 minutes to even 40 or 45. The longer they sit without the pectin melting is really, it's better. It's certainly not going to hurt anything, and you really do not want to taste sugar when you put it on your bread. So we're getting close, and what I'll do is prepare the Certo to go into the berries that have the sugar in them. And I think we talked about the size of the berries and mashing them. You don't want them liquefied because you really do want to be able to see the squares. But yes. But you also need to have them mashed. Anyway, you'll see it when you recognize it. Whatever you do, do not put them in the blender or mixer or anything like this. It really becomes a hand process. So what I like to do when I prep the Certo is use another bowl. I don't like to put it directly into the 4 cups of sugar that are in those berries. And I usually squeeze it out and get all the Certo out. And then I'll put the lemon juice into the bowl too, from here. Okay. Put that over there. And my mom started making strawberry jam from the time I was a little girl, and I have a very spoiled family around here because this is the recipe we use, and the only key to all of this is getting that sugar melted so it's not grainy to every touch. There will be a little bit of graininess, but a little is okay, but you don't want it so grainy that when your teeth, you're licking it, all you are licking it is grain. So here we go. Put that over there. I'm going to wash this up a bit. Okay. I'm going to stir the lemon juice into the Certo. And I'm going to test the strawberries one more time. We're getting very close. So I will have had 4 jars for sure, 5.5 jars of jam ready for the freezer. It's good. I can taste a little bit of the crunch from the sugar, but it's not over. And also too, when you put the pectin in, it melts the sugar even more. Okay, we are ready. And then we're going to fill up our jars and we'll be done. And you will have fresh strawberry jam in the freezer. And a lot of people love it on their ice cream, as you know. And anyway, it's a treat. I'm just going to go ahead and use the scraper on this and scrape it around. And once you put the pectin in, you do want to let it sit for a couple of minutes too. It needs to take hold, and it does take the next step in melting the sugar. So I could probably sing you the C&H song, but I will spare you that joy. It's just that when we were little on TV out in Seattle, they advertised C&H sugar. They also advertised U&I, which was Utah and Idaho, but I think those were sugar beets. This was pure cane sugar. And when you do make jam and jellies, you always want to use good ingredients. Is it cost effective to make homemade strawberry jam? Probably not. But does it taste good? Oh yeah, there's nothing like it. And to me, it's a gift from me to you when I do this. And I hope that my instructions have been helpful. I'm going to let this sit and get I think a measuring cup to fill up the jars. And hang on just a sec. What you don't see me is looking at. Okay. Here we go. I think that this is almost ready. And we will. It's kind of funny on how many people remember you and your jars, because they always want a jar of jam back too. So let's just try this one more time. I think we're probably close to ready. Okay, I'll clean the spoon. And just a couple more minutes. Little crunch still. I think I might take the just a couple more turns with the spatula. Just to make sure it's really well mixed. Pretty soon, in about 2 or 3 weeks, I think our strawberries are going to be ready at the local farmer's market. And we're allowed to go pick or let them pick for you. Sometimes I just don't have the time, so I pay the extra $1 and let them pick it for me. Okay, I think we're ready. Hang on. Yep, we're ready. It's good. There's nothing like homemade strawberry jam. Okay, so I fill them up. You know what I need to do first? I need to fill up this guy, because we don't. There we go. Good. We'll clean that in a minute. Okay. We'll fill this up. Good. And we have to wipe them down. I think I'll fill up this one next. Okay, we might end up with a half a jar here. Okay, that's okay if we do. That's the jar my husband always gets to enjoy. The half a jar. I think that I'm going to be waiting until the rest of the strawberry season gets going to make strawberry jam. So these will just have to get capped on. Let's get this in. So like I said, I just want to reiterate, these go into the freezer after you've let them sit out for 24 hours. If you have any questions, you may go to my website, tracieloy.com, and you can send me a message. How's that? And you'll also see the 2 books that I wrote, which have nothing to do with strawberry jam, but they do have to do with a woman who does enjoy baking. Jeannie Rogers at the Fairy Dock Cafe. So let's see. Let's wet these up and clean these up. Okay. And we'll just have to put the lid on. Keep her down. When you fill these, you don't want to fill them to the very, very top because they do go into the freezer. So you can kind of see to the top of the, maybe the first 2 rings there, maybe. Yeah, you want to leave a little bit. And then we'll put the lid on. You are ready to go. Okay, so the lid's on and we are good to go with homemade strawberry jam. Put this guy on here too. Wow. That one's setting up already with the pectin. There you go, and this is a partial strawberry jam. I'll put it in the freezer anyway, and then when we're ready, I'll put the lid on for my husband. So here you go. Thanks for coming today and joining me while I make my strawberry jam. Thanks a lot. Bye. Bingo!